Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Bethany Fagan here from Panadox. We're going to give people a couple of minutes to trickle in before we get started. But welcome to today's webinar. We're super excited to have Amit from Digital Brew talking to us about video and how to implement it throughout your sales process. So we're excited to get started, but we're going to give people just a couple of minutes here to jump online, get settled, get comfy for today's presentation. While we do that, just a couple of housekeeping items for you guys today. We are recording today's session, so don't worry about that. We'll be sure to make sure that gets to your inbox when we wrap up here in about an hour. Also, don't be afraid to ask questions. You'll notice that Ask a Question panel right below the screen share here. So anytime you have a question throughout today's presentation, be sure to ping us and let us know. We will hold a Q&A at the end of the webinar. You'll also notice in the attachment section, so that second tab to the right of Ask a Question, there are some helpful links that you guys can check out post-webinar. Amit will definitely review those during today's session, but those will be helpful for you guys to access afterwards. Just one thing to note, the slide deck is not in the attachment section just yet, but I will be sure to add those slide deck after we're through here. And then, of course, we'd love to hear feedback from our audience on today's session. So when we're through, be sure to leave us a rating and any feedback on what went well, what didn't, and where we can improve. So we'll appreciate that. Okay, so I want to go ahead and introduce today's presenter and let's see if we can get the ball rolling. So I've had the pleasure of meeting Amit in person. He is one of our awesome Panadox customers and Panadox partners. So Amit and I got to know each other at Inbound in 2017 and had a great time. And so yeah, I'm really excited to introduce him and have him present for us today. He's done me a huge favor with this month's content. So Amit, take it away, say hello, and let's get it rocking.
Thank you, Bethany. Awesome. Welcome, guys. This is Amit Gill. It's pronounced just like you hear it, like nice to meet you. I've got another version of that. If you get to know me, certainly you'll hear many of them. Guys, so today let's just dig right in. All of you here are probably excited to hear about how maybe to leverage video better. Maybe you're already using video in your marketing. Maybe you're just looking for some tidbits. I'm kind of gearing this webinar today towards even the most experienced to the least experienced. So if you have some business development background or even a very advanced level, you should be able to look at what we're showing you today and kind of get an idea of how and where you can start to insert video into your marketing and truly unlock what I've found in my business development career as kind of the, I hate to use the pun, but Pandora's box, you know, if you will, in a sense that when I started using video in my process and talking to people, I was able to have higher level of engagement. I was able to have better conversations. The prospect was more at ease and less trying to attack me with questions. And I think that's the biggest hurdle in sales. When we talk about process, you got to have process. Well, you know, what is process? And so we're going to dive into that. And adding the human element to what you do, I think, is the biggest core of all this, and getting away from just products and features and really focusing on what their real needs are and their goals. So first off, I'll break through this first slide here. We'll go right into, that's me there with my my awesome working warrior, Shobi. She was, you know, big part of my life. She helped me in the Seen on TV world when I was a pitchman for a Seen on TV. I've worked in publishing, radio. I've worked in all kinds of different advertising, street team marketing for movies. And anyways, my career has been kind of vast. I've worked in about 45 different industries. And bringing myself here to Digital Brew about 3 years ago, the owner of Digital Brew is Michael Cardwell. You might see him on our website. Certainly you're welcome to go to digitalbrew.com at any point and check that out. But the long short of it is that Michael knew about my track record of using video in the process, and he'd heard about it from other agency owners in town, and it's kind of actually how I came to be here, alone of the fact that we also knew each other through an old friend. But anyways, that's a little bit about me. Originally from Canada, love Orlando, that's where we live. Headquarters are here in Orlando. Been here better half of 20 years, pushing, 17 years now. And, just really just love life. I mean, nothing to complain about. So please feel free to connect with me there. There's my LinkedIn. Let's dig in. So what we're going to cover today is basically some background story and discovery. You've kind of already got that on me. I'm certainly happy to dig into that more. But what is the buyer's digital journey from start of the process to a decision? And so how do they go through that? And what is that like for them? So I've got some pictures to show what that looks like. I'll also be digging into flagship videos and versus video SEO, because there's a lot of confusion out there with the differences in video. I mean, everyone says, hey, you need video. Okay, great. Well, there's like 30 or 40 different types of styles of video that you can do. Everything from a whiteboard animation to a documentary to a success reel to SEO content that's just run-of-the-mill info marketing. So it can get very convoluted and very confusing. So hopefully today I can shed some light on which tools to use for when and what's most useful. And then how to use the actual video in the sales process. Key tip for this part, just keep this in mind. And I didn't put this in the slide decks, but I think it's pretty self-evident. Less is always more. So keep that in mind as we work through that. Less is always more. And then the last two parts, sales and marketing laws of buying, just some quick tips. Rules I live by, also my secret checklist to follow when I do my business development. These are the checklist items that I'm always focusing on to make sure that I've brought them from A to Z. And that's really the key here. And that's how we win with video and Panadox every time. And I'll show you guys how I use Panadox to leverage video and certainly all the other steps that are involved. Bethany, anything to add to that?
No,
cool. We'll dig right in.
I think that covers it. Yep.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Okay, awesome. So you guys want to know a little bit of background, probably what the relationship is, Digital Brew and Panadox. So I did actually prepare that video for you guys. So if you want to go ahead here right now to your attachments and links section on the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a Panadox video success story. I want you to go ahead and click there. The screen should look something like this. A video should pop up. And we'll go ahead and we'll watch that together. Mine's not going to play through the sound, but I'll give you here just a second. Let's go ahead and watch this for a second with us. Or hopefully everyone's able to find their link and play sound. And this is an example of a success story. So you should have this playing right now. If anyone's not, please let me know.
And then for those who are asking, I also just posted the link to the video in the announcements section there, so you guys should see that pop up as well. But looks like we finished up, so definitely would encourage you after our presentation to take a look at that and see our backstory.
Yeah, so sorry if that wasn't playing for you and it was choppy or you weren't able to find the link. Definitely was trying to get that to play within the Panadox for today, which we could have organized, but the problem is with these webinars, they don't actually play sound through them. So, and this is a good example of why I use Panadox. A lot of times when I'm in the conversation, what we'll do is we'll actually send them the Panadox, and on the right-hand side here, you can have control of different items, but inside the Panadox, normally we can just play the video right within there. So anyways, so the long story of what I just shared with you guys is a little bit of background of why we started using Panadox. For those that didn't watch the video, I'll just give a quick 10 seconds on that. The video basically was a testimonial, success story style. It's done in a half-day shoot. Budgets can range anywhere from $2,000 to $7,000, depending on the agency you go with. It should be a local agency you use to do that. But the long short of that video is that we were struggling with trying to slow our prospects down. And what I'm showing you here right now is the buyer's digital journey to a solution. So prospect A, let's say whoever, has a situation. They discover that, you know what, they're not getting enough conversion, let's say, on their website. And we'll just use video as an example just because it's easy maybe for this scenario. So step one, okay, we've got a problem. You'll see that under picture one, there's all their ideas going up on the wall. What are we going to do about this conversion problem? Well, number two, they start strategizing and searching the web. First thing 99% of people do today, and this is the top, even the top executives in the world, are just going straight to Google. We get calls every day from CMOs, vice president. I just talked to the vice president of Sam Adams the other day. I talked to CEOs from around the world, startups. They're the ones going on to Google, putting in there what they're looking for and whatever the problem is. And then you, luckily, hopefully, get the lead, right? And so how does that look like? So this is kind of the process. Start with number one, with the problem. Number two, they're going to start doing the research. Number three, they get this idea. Now they're ready to probably start, engaging with all these different concepts out there. Well, what happens in number four here is you're seeing is an abundance of people and services who offer your same service. How many times have people on this conference call dealt with a prospect and or they did a Google search, they're talking to you now, but they're about to talk to three other similar businesses. Or the prices are all the same, the marketing's all the same, and then you're stuck there going, well, yeah, we all pretty much do the same thing, right? And so there's a lot of disparity in showing them how you're different is the key right there. So taking them from one through the problem to the research, three through the creative idea generation to four, okay, let's go into the vortex of ideas of the Google. Five, everyone's got a magic pill. Everyone has a solution. Most of it seems like fake news. You have no idea. I mean, that's what that fire on news, I guess, is. And then six, the realization that there is potentially one or two solutions that might work. And that's where you come in as the crossroads of hope and opportunity. So if you're looking here in step 7, this is my checklist. These are all the things that when I've talked to someone, I hope I've narrowed down that they've clearly assessed their goals, their needs have been established. We're going to align the solution with those goals. And this is the discovery stage. This is where you're kind of digging in, and by now you hopefully have done some rapport building with them. Maybe they watched a video about you guys already. And so these are my checklist items but by the time I get to the end of the process, I want to make sure that all of these checkpoints have been somewhat hit on, at least 5 of them at the very least, if not all. Okay? Now let's dig into the differences in flat check videos versus video SEO. Well, right now, if you Google animated video, let's say, probably 100 different solutions pop up. Everything from $100 on Fiverr to $5,000 flat fee, no rush fee, jobs done in 2 weeks or whatever it is. And there's a lot of confusion. So you're saying, okay, I need a video. Well, what type of video? Every brand needs what we call the big 3, and that's where flagship videos come in. because you're always going to have your video SEO or your inexpensive videos you might get done initially just to get off the ground. Maybe you're a startup, you just have a simple video you did. But it's okay to start small, but you've always got to work towards having flagship video. Every brand needs that. And what it is these three categories. You've got brand stories, which tell more of the legacy piece, the background on who your company is, who you've worked with. Maybe it showcases some clients in there, but it's really an all-round top about us video that showcases your kind of the persona and who you are. Because at the end of the day, people buy people. People buy people they know, like, and trust. And so having a brand story allows for your team, for their team to be able to get an idea from top down what your company represents, who they are, and their legacy. The success story is the second part. That's the second type of flagship video. Flagship video in the sense that it's a high quality success reel, testimonial style video. You can show that. Now these are basically, I call success stories the closing tool. It's the perfect tool so that once they've gone down the funnel, they have a deep understanding of how you align with their goals. They're almost ready to pull the trigger, but they're kind of at that fence point where they're saying, I don't know, maybe I need to think about it. Well, it's okay, not a problem. You can think about it, but here, other people felt your way, and here's what they found. And show them the success of what a client had, who maybe was hesitant client at first, but then became a client eventually. And so you can speed up that decision-making time just by showing them a video. And I don't think there's any video SEO or info blogging or vlog video that you could show them that would do the same thing that a success reel does. And I'm not just talking about just a testimonial of your iPhone and you shoot someone, hey, I've used Susie's hair salon, it's great. Maybe that might work for low ticket items, but when we're talking about the big ticket items, we're talking about, $1,000 plus items, when people have to think about a decision, right? I don't have to think about spending $40 or $50 to $100. But I definitely need to think about it if it's 1,000 or more, right? So that's when we get into flagship content and really needing that, especially tools like success stories. So if there's any questions on that later, we can dig deeper. Then we have the explainer video. The explainer video right here. Now, I've included the links. I'm not going to go ahead and play those because I think trying to play the success reel and not knowing if you guys are watching it is the kiss of death here to this presentation, or to me at least. So what I hope you could do is go to these links afterwards or go to them while you're listening to me and certainly watch these. These are just 3 examples, one of each. And certainly feel free to go to our website and you can watch more, or Vimeo page. You just go to vimeo.com/Digital Brew and you can find more examples there. But the long short of an explainer video, and here's the psychology. One says, well, I think I need an explainer, or I know I need an explainer. If they know they need an explainer, it's because they used one, they had track record. If they think they need an explainer video, they're at the point where, well, I don't know, is this stuff working? Well, yes, it is. Explainer videos are having tremendous results on the internet. Why? Well, explainer video allows you to dive really deep into a problem with really cool visuals. So rather than having to explain something to someone over and over, hence the word explainer video. And that's what happens in sales. Just like this, I'm a talking head, and maybe we get into presentation, and it's just word salad, and you're just talking. But they don't have a visual reference to what you're saying. And so the explainer video, if you go to the links that we shared, you can watch that video there. That's an Emmy Award-winning explainer video for a partner house called Roger West out of Tampa. And they use that video in their sales process whenever a client is building a website, a landing page, explanation of a software or service or SaaS, whatever it is. Every brand needs these 3 videos. And so explainer video dives into the problem, success story dives into the actual results, brand story builds the credibility. Okay? So I think I spent enough time on that. If there's any questions further, please also leave those for Bethany to get to me on the end with those. Now, let's talk about the emotional connections that drive brand loyalty. Now, this ties more into the video SEO stuff. And, all the video, everything in video basically is to hopefully drive an emotional response. I mean, you're not doing a video to just bore someone, I hope, right? You're doing a video to actually make someone say, huh, and stop and think, that's interesting. Or maybe it's shareable. Maybe it's funny. Maybe it has no reference to them at all, but someone else it does. But it has to be engaging, right? We have to get some sort of response from it. So that's why you see on the internet so many different styles, from comedy to dry to talking head to whiteboard to you name it, they've got it, right? And what's the next layer to video? I don't know. You go in the video. It's like VR. You just walk in and you're there. The conference rooms will just be 3D in the future, right? But for now, this is what we're using and this is what works. So now, if we look at how buyers make decisions, they're extremely judgmental. If they didn't like your video or they didn't like your website or they didn't like the color font, for goodness sakes, they're probably not going to buy. But if they did like something, then they're going to pursue the opportunity to say, maybe this is something I need. Hence back to that first initial screen when the buyer's journey begins. Now, emotional connections. Let's talk about why emotional connections. Why just to make someone stop? Well, if you could connect with someone, I don't care about video or just take it out of the digital space for a second. Let's just talk about being at a party, for example. And you're by the buffet bar, grabbing carrots, whatever, and a nice person walks up beside you, and you guys strike up a conversation. Well, the conversation didn't start with anything but like, how about this spread, right? It was just like generalized, well, what brings you here to this event? So there's a process to getting someone to connect with you, right? So you have to start getting to know them. Like, oh, you know Susie? Oh, I know Susie. Yeah, I know Susie. And then that's why you're here. Okay, cool. Where are you from? And all this jazz. That's what we're trying to do with video. We're trying to get you to that point where you can build a comfortable conversation just like you do in person, but usually it's over the phone. Okay? And so that's what we're trying to do. And branding, obviously here I'm saying it is overused. Be careful, be delicate with branding. Use it at the end of a story, not at the beginning. Branding should always come with something added value. Hopefully you're giving them information first before you're asking for something. And so you wouldn't do that at the buffet, right? You wouldn't just be at someone's party and say, just stand there and not even say, oh, hey, how are you? Or talk small talk. You wouldn't say, hey, I'm a realtor. You want to buy a house? The guy will probably say, no, thanks. I'm just here for the party. Thanks a lot, and walk away from you. Because you haven't gained their permission yet. You haven't built enough emotional connection and enough rapport to even get to that stage with someone. So that's what you're seeing here in step C, building the loyalty. Emotional connections create actually a hormone in humans called oxytocin. You can Google it. And oxytocin is a human trust-based hormone that's kind of placed in us, in all humans since we were born. It's a hormone that's very heavily active when we're newborns. It's in order to build trust with our family, our mother and father, and that's why we build deep connections with our parents. It's mostly largely because of this trust-based hormone that's built into us. Now, so building that loyalty through the digital experience is the same process. We have to be able to somehow relate to them and engage them, and we have to be that only and obvious choice in the marketplace. So you have to show them proof, and that's why I mentioned earlier the success story combined with an explainer and combined with a brand story. Those three flagship videos conclude and get you to that proof point, that proven path point, that we've done this. We're not just winging it here. We're not just some fly-by-night startup. We actually have proof in the pudding. Take a look at it here. I don't have to tell this. Just look at it, right? So that's where we're at on that part. Emotional connections that propel conversation. So we're talking about earlier oxytocin. Now, watching, let's say, you've got your favorite TV show. Like I'm a huge Netflix, Amazon fan. I try and actually stay away from it just because the shows are so damn good. You'll literally get sucked in for a day watching a whole mini-series on something you have no idea that existed, right? And that's the power of video. So if you could create an emotional response in a video, either high-end or low-end or low budget or no budget, that's fine. But try and create some sort of inspiring, solution-oriented video that speaks to their problems. We say that you have about 7 seconds before you've lost someone's attention. Like me talking this whole time, I probably lost a lot of you. Is everyone still with me? Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Bethany, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. It's so weird talking to myself here. Usually these are conversations. So going through this here. So we got the crossroads of hope and opportunity. And that's the engagement point. When you can show them those 3 videos of brand story, success story, explainer, now you brought them to the crossroads of hope and opportunity, because they're saying, okay, I got this problem. It's a pretty big problem. And everyone's got problems, right? But we want to show them more than that we can take them beyond that. Inspire them to say, like, man, look at these guys' clients. They're doing tremendous work. Let's take a look. So now we're getting the engagement point where we're saying to Susie, Bob, and Larry, and whoever is part of our team, and we're going to bring them together and start saying, well, let's check out. Is it true? How is it possible? How does it work? Let's get to the brass tacks. And that's when us, as the business development person or salesperson or consultant or advisor, whatever you like to call yourself, I prefer talking head, clown, whatever. I'm the human element of this business, right? You get to explain to them how awesome this is, but hopefully you're going to do it with some video. And that part there, so that if there's any questions on that, certainly we can recap. So talk about the crossroads of hope and opportunity. This big bright light here to the top right, you're seeing that this man standing here on the side of a cliff, and he's looking up, and he's seeing this light come through, and he's right there. And he's like, do I make the decision to potentially increase this business 10 to 15%, or is it going to hurt my business? And then you come in as the beacon of hope and say, no, look, it's okay. I have a proven track record, and I can show you how this works and how we can implement it to make it work for you. And so that's what I'm trying to show here, is that every business owner, no matter how amazing your presentation or no matter how amazing your videos are, at the end of the day, you hopefully are the beacon of hope. And you putting those videos in front of them, or maybe someone else's video that made sense to explain your process, then fine. Whatever it takes, you've got to be the beacon of hope, that bright, shining star in someone's day. For example, I'm at the checkout line, and this is just an example of being a beacon of hope. I'm at the checkout line. Lady looks really down. She's the cashier. And, you know, I'm having a pretty good day. It was just a good day for me. I'm sure we all have bad days, right? And so I could recognize that. I said, you know, what's going on? And isn't that exactly how some of our prospects are? They call you all beat up and say, I don't know. I'm just trying to get some sort of solution. Here's what I got going on. And empathize with that person. She lit right up when I found out she had just had a death in the family, and I went back in line. I went and got a card. I got some flowers for her, and I cheered her up. And she said, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's how I like to end every conversation. Wouldn't you like to end every conversation you have someone after showing them a series of videos, you've helped them solve their problem with or without you, and they say to you, thank you so much. So that's how you win with sales and video. Now, using video in your sales process. These are the 7 steps to pretty much how people make decisions, right? Someone's going to, or not decisions, but comes through your digital funnel. For us, for example, we have a video landing page. So if you go to Google right now, type in Digital Brew. Please don't click on our paid for ad. But if you go to our website, digitalbrew.com, you'll see the video landing. Unless you're interested, you do want to buy a video, sure, click on our paid for ad. I don't care. But for the purpose of the presentation, our video landing page here, you'll see that basically they're either on their phone or their laptop, and they're going to end up clicking somewhere to get to your funnel, whether that's a landing page or your website. But you have to have some sort of video there to capture them. Or if it's just an infographic and some text, that's fine. It's not as cool, though, if you had a good explainer video that maybe went into the problem, spoke to their problem, showed them how you solved that problem before they even speak to someone. Because 9 times out of 10, they just want to talk to someone about some very basic level questions before they dive deep into their issues and their goals and all that jazz. Sometimes they just have preliminary research. I'll get into how I use Panadox for that in just a minute. The next stage, so once they've gone to your landing page, they should click a calendar link. We use Calendly. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. Check it out, Calendly, Calendly. Great tool. There's some other tools like that. If you have a link calendar system, I will tell you, I literally went from the Stone Age to the modern era when I realized there was Calendly or a link system that I could use. Just by sending someone a calendar link, literally they get to book the appointment on their schedule. I have a 98% show rate. That's unheard of. 17 years ago to 5 years ago, I'd say we had a 50% show rate. So if any of you are struggling with keeping appointments or people won't show, I highly recommend having a system like this where from a landing page to a link that lets them book their appointment for whatever reason. We have almost 100% stick rate on appointments. And if they miss it, they generally reschedule on their own because the system has its own reschedule button. All right, well, let's get through this next part. So discovery call. That's before you've had the in-depth conversation. So if someone books an appointment, great. If you have the time, and you don't always have the time, but if you do have the time, I'd like to do what's called a discovery call, which is, hey, so-and-so, Mr. Prospect, John or Smith, John or Nancy, whoever, this is Amit Gill. I'm with Digital Brew. It's just a courtesy call. I realize we have an appointment tomorrow, but before tomorrow, I just want to make sure I have everything I need. Looks like, you had some quick questions, and I wanted to make sure I'm ready for you for tomorrow. People really appreciate that because sometimes they click on stuff, book appointments, they don't even know what they booked it for. I've had that happen. I call them, they're like, what is this for? How many times has that happened to you? You call someone, they're like, what is this about? Who are you? What is this? What's going on here? That is not the good way to start a relationship. So when you start on a rocky slope like that, it's going to be really hard to backtrack unless you're a magician with comedy or something and can wow them with some jokes or, I don't know, build some rapport super quick. But so that's why the courtesy call, the discovery call is really important to help. Just quickly remind them, hey, you're the guy in the back end that's going to be trying to help them answer questions, and then tomorrow that they should have their laptop or whatever they need for that meeting. And here's another thing. How many times they book an appointment with you and they're not the decision maker? You got to get the decision makers involved. And so maybe that's the time to play them a quick video and say, here, I'd like to invite the other members of your party, who else other than you is making a decision as part of this? Oh, well, just me, and I have also the owner and vice president, but I'll be presenting to them. Okay, no problem, it's okay, but I just want to let you know that most times when we have these conversations, it's like going to a great movie. And when you go to a great movie, what happens? You're so excited. You go home, you tell your mom and dad or your friends about the movie, and they go, oh, that's great. Yeah, no problem. I'll wait till it comes on Redbox. Or it used to be VHS, right? But so you don't want to have, if you can have that engagement point where you can bring the decision makers involved, I highly recommend trying to get as many people involved from step 4, the conversation. And we'll actually dive into it. This is actually, the screen you're looking at here is a Panadox screen. So normally I have my complete overview prepared, and it's in this screen. What you'll see is pretty much here some analytics tools. You can find out if they actually opened it. Oh, Bethany, you haven't opened the document. You're not in here talking to me. How dare you? And if someone's lying to you, you'll know if they're lying to you because it'll tell you. But this is such a great tool because when you're in the conversation, I can actually go to the comment section right here, say, hi, here's a link that I thought fit your example, right? Or whatever it is. So whatever it is you're trying to do here, Panadox becomes a really powerful tool in this portion of it. And I started using Panadox as a conversion conversation tool because, well, we didn't have a landing page for sales. We didn't have a PDF presentation. We didn't have a PowerPoint presentation. All we had was pretty much people would call in or book an appointment, and then the owner, up until the point where after 6 months of me being here and scratching my head going, well, we got to have a better way because people would call in and just ask 100 questions. And I'm sure that, mark this down, how many of you hate the questions right up front or feel like they get steamrolled when someone calls in and don't have a way of slowing them down? Okay, that's probably a lot of you. And if it is happening to you, you need Panadox, first of all. And I hate to plug that, but that's what helped me slow down all of my prospects because now I could actually give them something while they're asking me 100 questions. And generally the questions are all the same. How much is it? What's the budget on this? So ambiguous. Because here's the reality. The prospect doesn't really know what they're looking for. They just know they have a problem and that you might be the solution. So it's your job to really get into that conversation. That's step 4. It's so important, and leading in through that marketing sales checklist. So step 4 and step 5 are actually combined. Your sales and marketing checklist is for you. It's to make sure you've asked the right questions, to make sure that you you address certain things that might be ambiguous or things that you learned along the way that's helped other prospects make decisions, and include those things, because as you increase your aptitude for conversations and your appetite to digest your brand's information, you should be improving your checklist. You should be increasing the amount of things that you have as a arsenal to potentially bring up if that question comes up. And you should always have those questions that you learned answers to ready to go. If you have a hard time remembering things, just write it down and put it in a note page. I have a whole note document with like 50 different links that for any scenario I could send out. Step 6, the continuation call. So once you work through the landing page, they booked an appointment, you had a discovery call. Hopefully you've had an amazing, powerful conversation leveraging some video, some walkthroughs, and also in that conversation follow through the checklist, and then establish the continuation call, because this is where you know if they're interested or not, right? It's like, Mr. Prospect, this makes sense to me. How about you? And so the continuation call is that next stage. When are we getting together next? Well, I'll call you. You heard that before? Well, that means they're not interested. Well, why? Is it budget? And then the next question should be, well, is there any reason why we couldn't work together? Good question. Maybe not. I don't know. I just got to talk to the owner. Okay, great. Well, what does that look like? You're going to talk to the owner when? Next week? Great. So should I call you Tuesday? Go for this continuation call. It's not the part 1 that counts. It's the part 2, part 3, part 4 sometimes. Digging into the whys and the hows and the goals, because that checklist probably only got halfway done at this point. Maybe you have more questions. And you say, you know what? This is good for now, for today. I want you to digest that, and I'd like to reconnect with you next week for part 2. How does that sound? And button them down. Number 7, go for the yes or a no. And no is okay. So many times I hear salespeople say, so I don't know why you didn't buy. I had a friend of mine, he pitched Intel, and he pitched all these huge brands. I was like, what? You pitched Microsoft, Intel, and Amazon in 1 week? And he's like, yeah. I said, what happened? He's like, I don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? He's like, well, they haven't gotten back to me. He's like, well, so that's a big problem. You got to get your yes or no. Like, are we going to be talking again? Like, don't leave a conversation unless you know, like, are you remotely interested or am I just wasting my time? Okay? So at the end of the day, it's okay if it's no, because then you can at least say to people, yeah, I talked to Intel one time. They just didn't want to work with us because maybe we're too far out of their range. And that's a hard thing to get someone to say sometimes, that we're maybe out of their budget range. That's okay. But if you didn't know that, maybe you couldn't come back to them with a rebuttal and say, well, that budget? Well, maybe we could do this one. It's half price. Anyways, I've hammered on that enough. Let's get through the next parts. We're almost done, guys. I know this is probably your late lunch. Sales and marketing, top rules for buying, rules of the game. This is pretty much every little tidbit I can think of. The one I couldn't include earlier, which was less is more. Even in your conversations, ask more questions, stop talking, shut up, and listen. So all the way through top 15. Number 1, buyers are liars, right? They might just be kicking tires, or they'll tell you, oh, yeah, well, we're going to buy 30 of these. Yeah, sure. So you can get a price of the 30 bulk price for one, right? Very calculated. Consumers are very calculated at getting information, and sometimes they're just getting information, maybe just the price shop, you don't know. Or maybe it's a competitor. But buyers are liars. And if they tell you, oh, yeah, this is so good. Okay, great. Which credit card would you like to use? Okay, yeah, well, we need to think about it. Oh, okay, so you're not ready to buy. So, you've got to dig in there. Buyers are judgmental. Everything from how you sound to how you talk. Maybe you don't like the sound of my voice today, and you're like, forget it, this guy, and they're already gone. Maybe you don't like the background noise. Maybe there's other people talking to me. Everything counts. Think of like the most insecure person in the world, and that's potentially your buyer. And that's how you should think, is that how do I address every potential nuance, especially if it's a high-end product over $1,000. If you're selling knick-knack, $10, $20 items, but if we're selling software, especially SaaS or software as a service, that any technology items most of the time today are over $1,000, that requires some decision, and so they're going to be scrutinizing every part of it. A lot of times, that's why I avoid the demo. By the way, if any of you guys are demo junkies, try and stay away from demos. I mean, I know demos work when you've gotten them down further down the funnel, but right up front, you need to be digging more into who they are, what they're trying to do, and what their goals are so that you can align the demo to them. 9 times out of 10, I walk into a demo, they've done zero discovery. They know nothing about what I'm trying to do with this tool, except they think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread and just want to get through how cool it is and walk me through all these slides and walk me through all these demo parts. And I really don't care. I don't care about your service or product yet. I need to understand first, how does this solve my problem? Okay, it does that? Okay, cool. Okay, well, I'm not the one going to be using the platform. It's actually this marketing person, right? Because all I do is cut the checks. So you got to think also, who's the person that's potentially you're pitching to? Who's this person in the demo? Why did they schedule a demo? Are you the one going to be using the platform? So those are questions you'd be asking. So that's what that kind of actually covers number 3, which is you're the seeker of truth. And finding that truth, finding what is the reason why they potentially might buy so that you can uncover that in the beginning, not in the back end. You should not be trying to do objection handling near the end. Objection handling should be happening throughout the process. Become the beacon of hope. We talked about that. Same as lame. Look up lame in the dictionary. It says pathetically lacking in force and effectiveness. Anytime your marketing or your pitch is the same as someone else's, you're failing because you're not increasing your effectiveness in the marketplace. Constantly look to be different and show things differently and do things differently so that you can stand out. The worst thing I can think a brand could be called, oh, you're just like DocuShare. Bethany's probably cringing right now, right? Well, Panadox is totally different than DocuShare. It's DocuShare on steroids. There's so many more tools in it, right? So any of you right now are thinking that maybe, oh, Panadox, oh, this is just another DocuShare. There's a lot more to it, and we can dig into that more later. So I hope these tips are great. I think you guys see this is pretty self-explanatory. Finding the hidden decision makers, we covered that. Telling stories, by the way, this is number 10. Just by telling a story about a client, like for example, one of our clients, Kissmetrics, we did one of the first object-oriented videos in the marketplace to win an Emmy Award, and literally took a brand that was struggling with it in the marketing aspect. All they did was demos, and they just wanted something maybe to explain a little bit more about how they solve problems rather than asking straight up for the demo right off the bat. And what they found was they started getting a 33% increase from opt-in to demo to buy. And you can find that case study on our website. So that story is easier to remember than maybe those statistics I just mentioned. And that's actually a proven thing. There's a book called Stickability. Highly recommend it. It's about how telling stories are going to be highly more memorable. And that ties it right back into video. That's how you tell stories, better than just someone talking about it. You can show them. All right, so I think I've kind of pretty much covered a lot of that stuff there. If anyone has any more questions, certainly these tips are available for you. I'm also available beyond this conversation, but since we've only got about 15 minutes left, I thought I'd open the floor up to some questions. And also, I've kind of got a huge ask for you guys. This is the last part here, but before you take off, I'm actually in a world national competition. I'm one of the semifinalists in this competition, and I'm up to I think 89 votes right now. This is a screen grab from earlier. But if you go to this website right here, it's a saledevelopmentsummit.com, and I think you can post that link. It's under links and attachments. If you guys really liked what you heard today and you think I'm valuable and I've given you some good information, please just go ahead and vote for me. Just go on there into salesdevelopmentsummit.com, that link that's provided. Go ahead to my picture under SD Rep, then just click vote once. And I really appreciate that. Since there's at least 100 of you on this webinar, I hope I get all 100 votes and that I can win this prize. Outside of that, if you want to learn more about Panadox, you go right here to Panadox partner page. This is right here under our links also, I believe. If you go scroll down under links, Panadox case study website, and that's under attachments and links. Go ahead there. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'm open the floor to questions. And as you know, I'm going to ask one more time. Go ahead, please vote for me. I love you guys. And then if you want to check out Panadox or talk to Digital Brew, feel free to go either one of our websites, and any of us is happy to help you. And you can even call me if you have questions about Panadox. I'm happy to help. Panadox has been a really powerful tool for us, and happy to talk about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Amit. Yeah, it looks like we have a couple of questions here, and I want to thank everybody for their attendance today and hanging on for the last 45 minutes. Again, we appreciate it. So a couple of questions here, Amit. One is we got a couple of feedback about losing sound, so our apologies on that, you guys. If you did lose sound, again, we're recording the presentation, so you should get that in your inbox and take a listen a little bit later. And then it looks like, Amit, during the presentation, we'll just need to fix the brand story URL and the explainer video URL are the same. So we'll just get those updated for you guys and make sure you have links to the right videos in the presentation and get that uploaded as well. So thanks for your feedback on that. Okay, first question. This one says, we don't have very much video content. Is it better to focus more on video marketing or videos to attach in our proposals? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, I think you can probably serve both, right? There's probably ways to create videos that can have dual purpose.
Yeah, I mean, just keep in mind they're different videos, right? You've got someone top of funnel, and they're just starting their search, and so marketing videos are more heavy on the problem and showing that you solve that problem. Okay, here's a formula for you guys, and write this down. It's called SPIN, and it's written by Neil Rackman. Neil Rackman wrote a book called SPIN. It's probably the world's largest research study on business development. And basically the acronym stands for situation, problem, impact, and need payoff. So what is the situation? What is the problem that is occurring in that market or industry? What is the impact of that problem? And how big of a need is the payoff? Now, here's where the marketing video needs to sit on. Situation, problem. Okay? But where you come in and what your video should be doing is showing the impact of the problem and how big of a need it is to pay it off. And with it actually showing the solution. So that's where the success reel video comes in on actually, ironically, you can use a success reel video on the front end and the back end. You can use a brand story video on the front end and the back end. Here's the question. Had they already watched it? Okay? So if you do have a marketing video and you think it could be used in a presentation, just make sure it fits in the criteria of in the context of the conversation. And if it is a marketing video, just make sure that they haven't already watched it. Because generally, if people have already watched the video, they're just going to be like, yeah, well, I've already watched that, and then steamroll you to the next thing. So it's better to ask them and say, hey, had you already seen our video that does this? And 9 times out of 10, they might say, no. Okay, cool. Or if they have, great, then move on. So video can, you have to be adaptable in the scenario. I hope that answers your question.
Great. Thanks, Amit.
No problem.
Okay, cool. So next one, this is a good one. First of all, they said, I'll be voting for you, so that's great news. Got another vote.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Their question is, do you ever have problems with your contact being reluctant to put you in touch with their decision maker, and how do you address that?
Yeah, a lot of times. And here's how you do it. I've got a great, thanks, that's a great question. So how do I arm them? So in this situation, so let's say I gave them the spiel about, well, hey, Nancy or John, whoever it is, we're going to be talking tomorrow. Who else has the news involved in this decision, right? Because you want to get more decision makers involved. Oh, I've got the vice president owner. I've got to present to them. Oh, great. Any chance you can bring them to the meeting tomorrow? No, they're all out of town. They're busy. Okay, cool. Don't push it. Let it go. It's okay. Now, though, what you become is hopefully their best friend at this point, because you need to create, at this point, what I call a cheerleader. And what does a cheerleader need? They need the pom-poms, they need a team, they need excitement, they need joy, and they need to feel like they have all the right tools to go to their team and say, hey, guys, I found this really cool company. You got to check this out. Well, everybody's got a website, right? And everyone's got a brochure. And I say that sarcastically because it's like throwing up on people at that point when you just hand out brochures all day long. Okay, well, the one tool you need, and I hate to be sounding weird or salesy, but honestly, Panadox, okay? 110%. Panadox has saved my deals, because there's so many times where I don't have a decision maker and I just have a junior marketing person. So then my job becomes, okay, Mr. whoever marketing director or junior marketing director, I don't care. So you're going to go present this, right? Well, let me make sure I give you every single tool in my arsenal to make this happen. How big of a problem is this for that person looking at? Now, you might find out this person doesn't give a damn about their job or doesn't care about this solution. Maybe it's the owner just asking them to do research. Well, then maybe at that point you should be making it a little bit more too high level to bring them into the conversation. Maybe it's too complex for them to help explain it. Maybe you need to keep pushing for that, bringing them into the conversation. But what I find in my conversations, the way I've designed our Panadox is that it has everything they possibly can. I've got 3 different types of videos of each style. I've got our process laid out. I put a pricing matrix in there. I put a breakdown of what the timeline looks like. I pretty much give them everything they need without it being a proposal, but it's really a proposal on steroids in the sense that I'm not giving them the exact price yet, but I am giving them everything that they need to know about what would be included. And I leave it to the point where, we just covered, and when we get to the end of the conversation, I'll go, we covered a lot of stuff today, and I always feel like this is like going to a great movie. When was the last time you went to a great movie? Yeah, you got home, you told your wife, you told your kids. How excited were they? Not as excited, because they're probably just going to wait till it gets on DVD. So you give them that analogy and see, how hard it would be to get the owner, because I know you and I just spent better half an hour. I would certainly love the chance just to at least explain all this. And maybe they feel like it is overwhelming, and you do get that chance, and that sometimes works, probably about 20% of the time, though. So you're still 8 times out of 10 going to have to make them the cheerleader, give them the tool, and make sure they're armed with everything they need to make an educated decision. Especially if they've already done research, find out who. Oh, great, you already looked at, who did you look at? Just ask them. They'll tell you, like, oh, yeah, I talked to Epifio, oh, great. What did they call you? Like, you got to cut them out, right? I mean, this is a business, guys. Like, you got to be cutthroat and ask those questions. So, yeah, use Panadox as if you've got a situation where you can't get decision makers, there's nothing better. Actually, look at this. So you go to the right-hand side. Oh, great, you're going to show this to your boss? Great, let me go ahead and add him right here. Boom, what's his email? Type in his email on the right-hand side of the Panadox, and they'll get it right there while you're talking about, oh, yeah, your boss has already got it. Oh, okay, cool. They love that tool. Now, people, every time I show them the Panadox, it's so funny. They go, oh, my God, and you're available in the chat section? Like, yes, I am, anytime. So, like, even beyond the conversation, I'm going to get pings telling me, oh, Bethany looked at this 2 times in the last 30 minutes. Or then John's looking at it. Someone else is looking at it. I'll go in here and say, okay, Mr. CEO spent 7 minutes just on the front screen, but he spent a lot of time. Let's see where he spent most of his time. Oh, okay. Oh, wow, 10 minutes on our process section. Man, that guy must be interested. Let me go ahead and ping it. I'll go back to the main comment section. Boom. Hey, Mr. John, whoever, I'm here if you have questions. And then you might say, hey, I noticed you're looking at the blah, blah, blah. Here's some things my client said, right? Whatever. I'm just writing gibberish because it's not important. It's not a real pitch. But you get the idea. You should be using all the tools you have available to you to leverage those conversations beyond your ability to get decision makers. Because, yes, decision makers are important, but I can't tell you how many times I can't get them, and that's why I use Panadox, actually. It's a real big reason.
Yeah, I know for me, I think for me,
just
as a marketing manager, I think that's an excellent point. I oftentimes have to involve my director of product marketing in any kind of decisions that we're doing. So anytime I can get as much information from a sales rep as I possibly can to write a follow-up email to my boss for approval or, share something with them is super relevant and just makes my life easier too. So for people who have to involve decision makers, the easier you can make it and give them every piece of information possible, obviously helps the sales process go that much smoother. So 100% agree with you on that stuff. Okay, cool. We only have about 5 minutes left, and I think this is one that is important that somebody asked, and I think we can kind of cover a couple of them. So how do you actually upload a video into Panadox? That's a great question. It's best to start that at the template level, but Amit, if you wouldn't mind just showing us really quick where to do that,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sure. I think I can do it through edit here.
Yeah.
And let me just go ahead and I'm going to show you guys a quick walkthrough. Hopefully none of my competition's on this phone. But here's it. Yeah. If my competition's on the phone, then haha, you found me, you caught me. You know, it's not. There's no mystery to anything. You know, I hate that when we act like things are secrets. You know, but I'll just give you a quick walkthrough how we use video in our conversation. Okay, and I hate to call it presentation. It should never just be one-sided. Okay, try like if Bethany and I could make this a conversation, I totally would. But we had too much stuff to cover and obviously slides and all this jazz. So this is your load screen for your edits. So these are tokens I created, pretty much self-filled. So if it's Panadox, I know they're going to hire us for video in 2019 because Bethany loves me. There we go. 8 hours there, 60 seconds here. So I'm filling all that in, right? This is all templated. This is basically our proposal, but without some of the extra quote elements. This needs to be updated. We have now 16 Emmys, just picked up 2 over the weekend. Hurrah,
Congratulations.
hurrah. Thank you. So we are now 16. So this is the tool. So that I don't have decision makers involved. And then you were asking, how do you put a video in here? Well, it's really cool. Panadox has this control panel here under the edit screen. Drag and drop. Voila. Now you have this video screen here. You can edit your animation overview. I've already got the video in there, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. But what you would do in your case is so you drag and drop that video thing. Sorry, hopefully everyone can see this. And then go here, put your URL, whatever the URL is. So people didn't see that explainer video earlier. Here it is. Oh, let me make sure I put that in there. Boom. Copy, paste. It only takes Vimeo, Wistia, or a Vidyard or YouTube link, so make sure it's one of those 4. I didn't know you guys added Wistia and Vidyard, so that's new.
Yeah, Vidyard we just added this week we announced it. So I think that's another great point, Amit, is about you were talking about making emotional connections through video, and I think
yes.
Vidyard does a great job with that. With if you're on a limited budget, you can't afford to spend a ton of money, but if you're looking for a great sales tool to kind of create that one-to-one connection, Vidyard's something to look at and I think something to consider. So yeah.
This video plays seamlessly on my end. I don't know if it's choppy for you guys, but it's pretty slick when you can send someone an anime or your proposal or your presentation overview or your conversation overview, and it just clicks. They can go in here and literally click videos like it's Netflix. And then they get jazzed up by that. They get excited, like, oh my God, this is your show reel? Okay, what else you got here? Then they start scrolling through, and you're like, okay, cool. Well, I would like to walk you through it, but they get excited, so it's okay. Let them do the thing, but then you ask them the question. Okay, great. Where would you like to start first? Oh, well, I just want to look at budgets and proposals and timelines. Okay, no problem. Let's first start with scope then. I'll get to that in just a minute. And they're like, oh, okay. That's where you get to slow them down. They are all over the place. So this is how you can slow them down. Plus, having a video here, what did that do? Put them in mute for another minute. So they're not drilling you with billions of questions. So I hope that answers that other question. I know we have a few minutes left. So any other questions that we had?
Yeah, we got some really great questions. Some of them are product-centric, and some of them are just more general questions. But I don't think we're going to have enough time to get to them, unfortunately. But we want to thank you guys so much for coming today, listening to our conversation. Amit, thank you so much for the awesome content. I think you did a great job. So for those of you who we didn't get to your questions, we'll be sure to shoot you an email. I do have your contact information. I will reach out, and I'll share those questions for Amit as well, and he can reach out as well. But, yeah, don't forget to vote for Amit.
I'm all the way at the bottom. I'm like the 4th one in here, guys. Let me see. Hey, it still says 89 votes. Come on, guys. Grab this link. I need at least 1 vote from you guys. I'm going to post that right here. Thanks so much. I hope it was useful, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys again soon. Thanks so much, Amit. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye-bye.